Antman Quantumania. This is an interesting movie to me because I hated both of the previous Ant-Man movies. And I think Marvel listened to those people and said, listen, we need to course correct because this is like, basically it was like when Marvel made the first two Thor movies and they weren't very good and the audience wasn't responding to it in the way that they would like, and so they course corrected and made Thor Ragnarok, which did better and made people excited about the character. This movie is doing that for a lot of people. I went into a packed theater. It was great. And I don't think it's that, and I think this is very different from the Thor trilogy of movies, even though there's four of them now, where, like, they didn't change the character very much. They just changed the tone of things. But there's still those Ant-Man isms in this movie, and those are the worst part of this movie. And I don't think Ant-Man also was a character that needed changing. It's just the way they go about some of the humor in the movie really didn't work. Um, and this is a spoiler review. If you're new to my channel, I do not create non-spoiler reviews for Marvel movies. And the reason why is because I know everybody's going to go see these movies. There's no reasons in dancing around nonsense. I'm just gonna talk openly about the movie. If you won't go watch the fucking movie, then I don't know what your problem is. I really like this movie, and I had fun with it, but I don't know how to feel about it still. I mean, I say I liked it, but I don't know how much I liked it. Like, is it? It could be a 6 out of 10 a while from now, because I liked the plot of this movie, which is that they get stuck in the quantum realm, like you see in the trailer, and then that forces Hope to open up, or not Hope, Janet to open up about her past in the quantum realm, which is great because one of the annoying things about Ant Man and the Wasp is she just says nothing about the quantum realm. We know nothing about it except that she's back, and it just felt really bizarre. And I get the idea was to expand in sequels, but like the way they went about in the Marvel movies before this just felt so bizarre. So seeing her finally open up about that, seeing Bill Murray being ex-lover, which a lot of people predicted, and that was true, and that was kind of funny. Um, and yeah, I liked him in the movie. He did not have as much as a presence as we thought he would, though, which is interesting. He's kind of like Jeff Goldblum in Thor Ragnarok, type of thing. They do their thing, have fun, and I really enjoyed that aspect. I really enjoyed that part of the movie, and then we get over to the Kang is a great part of this movie. What they do with Kang is really good. His backstory about being stranded in the quantum realm or banished, and there being multiple Kangs and things like that. That was interesting. I'm excited to see what happens with that credit scene. It was great. My problem with this movie is the humor, and I think most of that goes down to Modoc. Modoc, when they first showed him, I was like, okay, you know what? I see what they're going for here. I actually liked the way he was in the movie at first. Then when they kind of showed him getting tortured by his boss Kang, being slapped around, and I thought, are they trying to do a redemption arc with this? Because this guy is a asshole. This was a guy who enjoyed being an asshole, before he was turned into this. It seems very weird that especially in the climax when Cassie's like, "You don't have to be a dick." It's like, well, what? Like, what is this nonsense? It came out of nowhere, and then he just died in a very comedic death scene, and it just felt very weird and just like, did the movie expect me to care about fucking Mo Doc? Like, if this had been a character that had more to do, and also trying to redeem that character is just so stupid. Why would you try to redeem Modoc or uh, the villain from Ant Man? A villain that up to this point the audience did not like, not just because he was a villain, but he was super generic and just stupid. And seeing him come back as Modoc was at least something interesting about his character, right? But then just the way they went about it, killing him and stuff, you're like, okay. I don't know what they would have done with him if they hadn't killed him off, but it was just like the way they went about this shit was weird. I just don't know. it was just bad. I did not like MODOK in this movie. What's funny is I really liked the character of MODOK in the comics. I was actually gonna pre-order like a Funko Pop based off this movie because I figured, well, they usually are good. You know, I was excited to see him in the movie. I was gonna pre-order him. I'm so glad I didn't pre-order it because actually watching him in the movie just made me laugh in the sense that I was like, man, he fucking sucked in this movie. I don't really want that in this movie. I don't really want that Funko Pop now. It's like, oh, it's not even a great design Funko Pop, to be honest. I think people were getting mad about the design of Kang in the movie. I don't really care about the design because the thing is, like, of course, the design is bad. Kang is such a not Kang. MODOK's such a fucking weird design character. He was always gonna look like shit. Like, what'd you expect, right? But I like the character a lot. I just don't like what they did with him in this movie. And that's the other thing. The humor in this movie is really bad. Like at the end when Scott's like talk going, "Did we kill King?" I'm like, bro, this is just fucking stupid. Stop this nonsense. Um, Also, I feel like Antman needed to die in this movie. You get to that final fight and you feel like, man, Antman could really die, and then he doesn't. And it just felt like this whole movie they hyped up the new big bad, and they got me excited about the new big bad of the MCU. But it also felt like, well, Scott need to die to really show that this big bad's got some consequence here. You know, like for the most part, it just felt worthless that he didn't die because I'm sitting here going, well, like, okay, now I don't know what this character is supposed to do anymore. It feels like Ant-Man's outlived his purpose in the MCU. I think that would have been a smarter way to go about it. Instead of it being mostly about him and his daughter in this movie, I think they should have shown Cassie growing up and being more independent and her becoming an adult, right? And now that she's becoming her own adult woman and, you know, evolving, she's gotten her own suit. Scott's starting to feel like he doesn't really have a purpose anymore. And, you know, realizing he does have a purpose, which is protecting his family, and that's what he does by sacrificing himself. And that'd been really cool. That would have been cool plot point. I didn't like the way they went about it. So overall, I liked the point of this movie, which is to set up the big bad. But the actual like plot and some of the humor and stuff like that didn't quite always work for me, and it just kind of made for an uneven film when you watch it. Like when you watch it the first time, you'd be like, heck yeah. But I think the more that you're gonna sit with it, it's just not gonna work for you. And even in the theater, the laughs that were there, they didn't feel like Marvel laughs where the audience really laughs hard. They felt kind of awkward laughs because so much dramatic shit was going on, and then they would make like a joke that was just really weird and bizarre and didn't quite work. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm excited for Kang. We're definitely supposed to see more of him in Loki season 2, I'm guessing. I mean, he showed up at the end of season 1. I don't see why they wouldn't do that. Really interested to see where this goes, but man, very, very strange movie, but I enjoyed this movie.